Plastic welding. I don't know if it's more of a science or an art. But here I've got a tank that I cut a side tank off of because it wouldn't fit my application. And then I cut a piece out of another piece I cut off of here. And I used this nice flat piece to carve a patch that would fit over my opening. Now I used a sanding pad on a grinder to clean the joint edges, just to get the dirt. You see there's embedded dirt in here. It just doesn't clean off. You can sand it off, grind it off. As long as your joint is fairly clean, you're in pretty good shape. Then, stop shaking. I use a soldering iron, which I've smashed down into a chisel tip. You see it's fairly thin. Smoothed it off so it doesn't have any sharp edges. I get that hot, and then what I try to do, or what I have to do, is get it into the joint and actually heat up both faces of the joint and back into where I've already sealed. You can see I've already done some. I'll actually work this chisel down into the joint, and this particular plastic, as a lot of it does, will turn transparent, or at least very translucent. This stuff actually turns clear. So I've heated down into the joint, then I use the chisel tip and I work it back over and fold it in, and I get that plastic that is melted to the point of turning clear, get it to pull together. I just do a section at a time. I'm trying to look through the camera and do this at the same time. And I work it back and forth just to make sure that there's no seam. There's actually all one big blob. There's no sign of that seam left. Then as it cools off, it'll turn white again. But before it does, I'll just keep working. I'll get up into my joint again, work it a bit. Just keep that heat moving along. Take advantage of the heat that's already in the plastic and let it cool off behind me. And just keep working. If it cools off and you can see that seam, you got to go back in there and dig into it. Get nice and deep. If you have some place where there's a hole, just trim off a little piece of plastic. Hold it with your left hand, melt it with your soldering iron in your right hand. Feed it in there to fill it. Get it melted, get it in, add it to the puddle, and you can build it up. But that's basically it. You can see over here where it's already cooled. Not pretty. I can go back over it, file it, make it look nice, but most of the time I just test it for water tightness, flex it a little bit, make sure it's not going to crack, and if it's holding, I install it. I mean, it's a washer tank. Doesn't have to hold any pressure. Doesn't have to really look good. It's going in an off-road truck. It's just got to squirt water on the windshield. So that's it in a nutshell. Plastic welding. Takes a little practice, a little familiarity. Some plastics won't work. In that case, I get out the liquid nails and get after it. So have fun with it. Bye.